Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital Today's podcast. This is episode 272 of the Digital Today's podcast. Tonight, we are live on YouTube, as we sometimes do. And tonight, I am joined by, once again, Vinny Mancini and Marco Scola. Welcome to the show, boys. Vin, thanks for coming back.
Thank you again for having me. This is so much fun. And now we're doubly blessed by having Marco with us.
Yeah, we had to pull him away from, was it Andy's Ice Cream?
Oh, man.
Are they sponsored? Are they going to sponsor the show now? Have you worked that out yet?
I'm still working on it. They said if we could field a NASCAR team and finish in the top 10 at the next race, they might consider us. I said, well, how many digital dice conventions do we have to do? They said, call us after 5. Okay, great.
Wow, so we got a ways to go. So we got a full.
But I'm working on it.
Well, if technically, Vin, if you have Digital Dice Con Light happening Saturday, right, then maybe we can count that as one. Yeah,
we do. Everybody's welcome. Well, not everybody, but
anyway, ways to get a hold of us. Digitaltodice.com is the website. Digitaltodice.com. 978-751-DICE is the text line. Digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the email. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. Here in episode 272, we like to keep things kind of light here on the show, but we're gonna take a little more of a serious dive in and a more of a, I don't want to say controversial thought here, but this is going to be all right. I'm just going to say what it is. We're going to talk about not liking the results you're getting in a game, especially when you're first playing a game. You're playing a game and you're not getting the results that you think you should be getting. What are your thoughts on that? So we're going to be talking about that today, which is a little bit more serious than what we usually talk about. But I think it's something that we do need to talk about in a very respectful way, though. In a respectful way, we're going to talk about, I'm not liking my results is kind of what we're going to call this show. Anyway, so what's been going on around here? I've been playing, trying to get rid of the wasps on my deck. They've built this nest. I come down the stairs the other day because I was moving some stuff around on the deck, and all of a sudden all these bees went everywhere. I go, oh no, that can only mean one thing. So I get on the stairs. I look underneath my deck, and they had built this. It was like the size of a grapefruit, and they got the nest underneath. I'm like, oh man, And so the wife looked up what they were, and they're the bad kind. They're not the good kind that you want. They're the bad kind, and so. And they love the heat. So they're up there, 95-degree weather on the deck, just loving it. And I'm like, oh boy. So I took a chance, and I got one of these like little scrapers. It's like I scraped the ice off the driveway is what it is. And I kept the door to the garage open, which was only a couple feet away. And I took the scraper and I scraped right against the top, and I scraped it off, and I took off and got in my car and I went to work. And so I come home. She's like, yeah. She goes, they're all buzzing around on the bottom. So I scraped it off, right? I go back today. The son of a bitches are starting to build it again.
No.
Wow,
So,
I didn't
like,
think they would.
Yeah, that's usually they leave. They'll go someplace else, but they like that spot. So I took some raid tonight, and I hit it with some raid from a few feet away, and they also had a buzz. So I checked out again. So I got to go back tomorrow and just keep hitting with the raid, I guess, until they decide that they don't like that there. But
Find out how much it might cost to get one of those suits where you get the whole like Roman.
Well, yeah, I just don't want to get. I haven't been stung in
hat.
years. I just don't know what's going to happen if I get stung. So I want to. I want to avoid that the best I can.
No.
So anyway, yeah, so that's what's been going on with me around the house here, trying to beat the heat. Holy cow, the guys played. I didn't skate last night. The guys played hockey last night. It was so hot. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. So that's what's been going on. The fun thing that's been going around here, I take it you guys have been hot as well, right?
Yes, very. Got hot.
Yeah,
again.
it was. Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
it's been hot around the Midwest or Chicagoland area, but the last week or so it's really cooled off. I actually, for the first time all summer, got my window open. It's low 70s, going to get down to the 60s tonight. So it's finally cooling off a little bit, but
I will
never complain about the heat because these are the days that I dream of in January. So I'm good.
Oh
with
yeah,
it.
yeah. I was I wasn't enjoying the heat, but I'm going to go out and get the power washer out and power wash my deck and my shed, and then I got all the bees flying around. So I'm like, well, I want to get rid of them before I get stung and power wash my deck, and now they won't go away. Now, what happened today? not only the bees back, but it's 70 degrees. And so it's like, man, I'm going to wait till the next 90-degree day. 'Cause that's when you power wash, when it's so hot. It's like running through a sprinkler. That's when you want to power
Yeah.
wash. It's really kind of fun.
I would take
Um,
70 degrees for sure. We got hit. We got hit again today. It was about almost 100 with the heat index, and we had the pleasure of waiting 2 hours in the doctor's office for a well visit with my daughter. I was like, oh gosh, okay. So I went in the van and I kept it cool for them, and what are you gonna do?
yeah. So we do. Actually, it's showing 67 degrees outside right now. That's how much it's cooled off. It's almost
Oh
30
wow.
degrees difference. It was 97 yesterday at this time. So yeah,
Oh
yeah. So we
boy.
get the wicked ups and downs over here. So
Yeah.
anyway, so why don't we jump into what we're playing here? I'm going to cue the music on that because we are going to try to make a podcast out of this. So I'm going to cue the music. We'll get to what we're playing. Hang on a second. Yeah. All right, Vin. Let's start with you. What's been on your table?
Well, I still got a basketball bug. Did some bank shot. Gee, surprise, surprise. And I finally got Highlight Maker Hoops prime time on my
Okay.
table.
Okay.
And boy, that game flows. I like it a
Wow.
lot. I currently have the same teams I was playing with Bank Shot, with replaying the championship 95-96 with the Orlando Magic and Michael Jordan's Bulls. And I just, you look at these cards, and Keith's games all do it. You see qualities, and you're like, all right. And then you do this chips thing, and you're like, let's see how this shakes out. And Jordan's going bonkers, and Shaq's doing what he's doing, and Rodman's doing what he's doing. And I'm like, this Keith is a genius. Now, I could see it's not for everybody, but I really, really like it. Where the basketball kick came from, I'm blaming Dave.
That's the great thing about all these games and the different companies and the different developers is what works for you might not work for me, and vice versa. I play some games that I
Yeah.
swear by, and people are like, oh, that doesn't work for me, and
Mm.
that's perfectly fine. If
Yep.
again, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
Everyone likes different bands and TV shows and the whole bit. And there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah. So I when you talk like that, 'cause I was watching that being played. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like that. Being a very, very distant casual basketball fan, I finally found a game in Bank Shot that I kind of like. And a lot of them, I just like. Even we were talking about Strat in the pregame show. I like the Strat basketball, but I don't know enough about basketball to get with that. And even inside the paint, I was like, man, I just don't know enough about the positions and how it goes. But maybe Bank Shot basketball will kind of ease me into the basketball world, and maybe these games will make more sense at some point.
I think you've been doing
Yeah.
great. So, yeah, I think you could try out other basketball games when you're ready, for sure.
You
Okay.
mentioned the pregame show. I'm gonna put out an alert to all the developers out there, and I'm sure I'm in the minority for saying this. I would play a lot more basketball games if they offered more modern seasons. Now, I mean, like, there's a huge gap between like 2000 and let's just call it 2015. Not a lot out there. I think even play, and I do really like primetime as well. But I think the most modern season they have outside of, every year they come out with the NBA, but that's only been going on since I think 2022, 23, is 2008.
Right.
That's the only season that they offer, which is a great season. But, LeBron, I know this is controversial as all get out, one of my all-time favorite players. He's still in his first stint in Cleveland. I'd like to see him on the Heat. I'd like to see him on the Lakers. I know, Vinny,
I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
just hear you say that, did I?
I'm a big,
Boy,
I
this
am a
young
big LeBron fan,
generation.
but you know what? That's the best way to describe it. Is I do think basketball, and I know that's not the topic of the night here, so I'll get off my soapbox quickly. But basketball is an interesting sport in that every generation has their guy,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
my generation, it was LeBron or even Kobe. I was
Yes.
a big Kobe guy as well.
I get it.
Nowadays, kids are all Steph Curry, all Steph Curry, all Steph Curry, Steph Curry, Steph
Yep.
Curry.
Yep.
And even that's going to change in another 4 or 5 years. And it may have already changed.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know.
I
But
love that.
it's very generational.
I
You know what?
mostly play the 70s, 80s basketball, Bird, and, Magic and Kareem. And we just love those matchups there that they had, against, the Pistons and Isaiah and, and all those teams. The I did pick up 23-24 because the Celtics won, and I watched a little bit about that, a little bit of that series. But I also wanted to get LeBron, and I think he's on the Lakers at this point because like you said,
Yep.
he's a generational player. He's someone everybody knows. It does kind of stink that he floated around the league with different teams. I felt that was a little prima donna of him to do that, but whatever. And so I did want to get LeBron on my table at some point.
Again, not to sidetrack, but did you see what he said the other day that he doesn't like the modern NBA with players changing teams and chasing titles? I'm like, oh, is that the pot calling the kettle black?
I would say so. I would say yes. I would say yes.
Holy cow. I will say one other thing though, Marco. You're not alone in it because basketball fans are basketball fans and they're still deep
Absolutely.
into watching it. So those seasons, the current seasons of the years you talked about, I think it's a must. They got to start coming out. Replay has them. As a matter of fact, I saw Justin
Yeah,
put them
someone
up
just
there.
said that. Yeah.
Yes, Replay has them. It's a very good game. I have them all on the PC.
Oh, cool.
But the board game is it's a fun game. I just bang shot.
Yeah. So I picked up some bank shot. I got the some 70s because I wanted to play. This is what I did with bank shot. Now, I don't mean to cut into your playing time, but we're talking basketball here. I got 61, 62 so I could play waltz, right? And some of the crazy teams that don't exist anymore, at least by their name. So I thought that was kind of fun. The Celtics won that year, and surprisingly, there's a lot of players in the Celtics that I know is I don't know nothing about 60s basketball, but I was like, wow, I know a bunch of Celtics. So I got that. And then I got my 70s with the Bird seasons, and then a couple of 80s, early 80s I grew up with. I got a lot of the 80s. And I did get 95, 96 because, that's the Michael Jordan thing. So, and then I got the 23-24 with LeBron and the Celtics that won it. So for me, I got a lot in my wheelhouse, but then I got one from different eras just so I could play some of the guys. So that's what I do with basketball.
Yeah.
So, Vin, anything else going on aside from basketball on your table? Been playing anything else?
I got a little payoff pitch going. I collated all of that stuff. As you can see behind me, I got the shelves filling up with stuff. And,
Very nice.
But it's been tempted to get some football in, as we talked about earlier. But right now it's been basketball, and I'm waiting on Grant's 49 quick decks hockey because deep down I'm still a hockey. That's my
I like trying different hockey games. That game I'll talk about it when I'm playing, but it's very different. So, Marco, what have you been slinging around on the table?
I am full blown into soccer right now, and I caught the bug maybe 6-7 weeks ago. Gold Cup is on. Fortunately, USA just lost to Mexico the other night. Great game, by the way. Great game. Club World Cup coming.
Had I known Marco was going to talk soccer, Vin, we probably should have invited him on the show. We're talking real sports, and then he comes in with soccer.
Hey, that's the world's game now, Dave. Come on.
Yeah, but he tied it in with LeBron James.
Yeah, I'm persona non grata.
You are checking all the boxes today. So, folks, welcome to Marco's last show on Digital Today.
Oh no, because I've been playing Soccer Blast. I always have to shout out the play game. Dice United 2, I don't think's left my table for the past 6-7 weeks.
Never played.
I just got it's due to be delivered, I don't know, this week, next week, something like that. I should check. Counterattack. Not exactly a sports simulation game. It's designed to be head to head, but you can play it solo. It is a soccer game on your table. It almost reminds me of like flick soccer, except it's actual like hexes. So you have to move your guys around the board, and they each have their own abilities. So, for example, if a guy's got a high pace rating, he can move 6 hexes instead of 5.
Interesting.
And then if he has a good shot rate, he can shoot from certain distances. If he has a good pass rate, he's able to get it around defenders a lot easier. And I learned after this is what sold me on the game. There are leagues out there that people go online and they either play the physical game or they have a tabletop simulator or whatever.
So it's like chess.
Or they play
almost.
it on there.
It's almost like a chess game. You move the pieces around. Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. A little soccer ball that travels with the players. It looks awesome. I
I
can't wait to try
had
it.
I sold some of those to Ray at D to Decon, something like that. It was the old football and the old hockey where you played on a grid and you moved your players around on the grid, and I couldn't really figure out how to do it. So I brought them and I just basically gave them to Ray. Like I said, just give me 10 or 20 bucks and take them and
Yeah.
enjoy them, Ray. But it was the same kind of thing as you played on a grid and players moved
Yep.
around. But that's
Yep.
how it was back in the day. So it's neat to see a game like that today being played.
Yeah. And it's cool. They got worldwide leagues. Like people literally will every Monday night, Tuesday night, whatever, they'll get on their computers, they'll play head to head. They have stats, they have rankings, they have like I just got on the Discord like yesterday and I'm zooming through it and there's literal someone does world rankings and they update it every time there's an official match. And it's you
Holy
or I
cow.
playing against each other.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I'm excited to try it. I know next to nothing about soccer tactics, but I'm excited to learn.
Oh, you're gonna have to send a link and we'll check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, my email is dave at compuserve.net, so you can send a link to the soccer game over there. I'm
can
sorry.
message me,
I'm
buddy.
sorry. We
You
got to
can
give it to
message
Marco.
me.
We just have to give it to Marco. All right. So
Marco's like,
so have
I
you been
should have been
playing?
at Andy's. And what do I need this for?
Right.
Yeah,
So you've
working on
been
a sponsorship deal, boys. That's all.
so aside from soccer, have you played any sports games?
History Maker Baseball. Again, it's the world's game, Dave.
It is.
History Maker Baseball. It's that time of year. It's you start getting itches, right? You start there's that little whisper in your ear, and you turn on the computer, and 2 weeks away from training camp, and the little birdie flies away, and then you're like, oh, it's almost fall. So I'm looking over at 49 Quick Decks football and Strat and second season, and it's getting about football time, and they're over there. Marco, play me. It's almost time.
Yes, it
So,
is. My Apple football is like tapping me on the shoulder at night. It's like,
yep.
okay, we're due. We're due.
Yeah, me and
Look
Joe
what's
Cox
I
playing.
brought it up from the basement today. It has risen. Haven't seen her since February, but she's back. She'll be on my table soon. I'm for the podcast listeners. I'm holding up second season. So
I wanted to play
football's coming.
the express version in Colorado. I figured, it's the home of play, and nobody had the express versions. I just wanted to kind of get a
Really?
recap. I wanted to get a recap because I haven't played it in a while. So I wanted to sit with someone that knew it, that could walk through it. And it's like, oh yeah, I remember how to do that. Yeah, and I did. That's one of the games that was on my list to play in Colorado at play, and I didn't get to play it with anybody or even see anybody play it. But I mean, it's a busy time. There's a lot of games out there, and you had the tournaments going on, and with the baseball and the golf and the fishing and the hockey. So yeah, I don't think anybody was playing that out there that I could see, which is too bad because I wanted to do that. So I'm hoping if I get to Ohio, which now is the in out. I gotta, Michael's having some problems with work, so I don't know if he's going. So I got to try to talk to him about that, convince him to go. But I'm bringing that now. I want to play that in Ohio for sure. So. But yeah, football's been kind of giving me the eye, though, the wink, wink,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is sort of, I always say, like, basically, as soon as the Stanley Cup ends, it's sort of the dead period where, I'm all in on baseball this time of year, but I've sort of just floating around. And then right around after 4th of July, you're like, oh, football's close. And then it's like you kick into high gear. Then all of a sudden, all the football games come back, the hockey comes back,
Yeah.
all your winter sports start getting back to your table pretty quickly.
Okay. Let me see. So I guess on my table, I've had the summer blues come in a little early. It just being hot brings me down. Work has been getting me down. And I sat here this exact table the other night, and I didn't want to play anything. And I said, "Oh, tell me the summer blues aren't back." And I'm in that funk that I get in the summer times where I just get bummed out and just don't want to play anything and just do a lot of sleeping. That's just kind of how my summers are. I was kind of bummed out, but Joe Cards, who's in the chat here, we hooked up this morning online, and I was showing him some 49 Quick Decks hockey, and that kind of got the spark back a little bit. So now I want to play that again. And I guess he played a couple of games today. So
you created a monster.
So he was having trouble getting through it, and once I explained a few things, he must have been off and running because I went to breakfast. I come back, he's already posted 2 full games. on Facebook. Oh, I played 2 games. Like, well, really? Oh, well, all right. So I guess he figured it out.
Good for him.
So yeah, so I was happy about that he was doing that. Let's see. So I've been doing the quick decks hockey. I'm looking around here. If I played anything else, I don't think I have because I've been in a funk. I did play one other thing. You guys will never guess what it is. Nobody in the chat will guess what it is. So I'm going to show you what it is. I wouldn't even venture a guess. You wouldn't even be in the realm of what I played.
Oh man, what's up, Marco? I don't know.
The one hint is
I got nothing.
a guy at hockey picked this up at a local dollar store, thrift store. Those little, I forget what they call them now. It's like when people just go and they dump their stuff, Salvation Army places and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, Goodwill.
Yeah, Goodwill. Yeah, he goes to all these places. I think his wife works at one. So he come up the other day and he showed something online and says, I had that as a kid. He goes, I'm going to give it to you. And I got it, and I put a battery in, and it works. Some of the lights don't work, but I have been playing my favorite game here, electronic quarterback from Coleco. It has the it still has the styrofoam. It's in the styrofoam.
Oh, wow.
So there's the game there.
That's before Marco was born.
Yep. This is probably like
sure.
78, 79. It's a handheld football game. And what my uncle and I each got one at Christmas one year. And so what we would do is at Christmas, we'd be having our Christmas there. And I was probably a teenager at the time, and he was in his 20s. And you could play head to head because one guy's the visitors, one guy. So I'd sit there and play until I had to punt or score, and then I'd give it to him, and he would play. And the game had time and ticked away and the whole bit. We would play full games in 10 minutes or something like that. But that was before all the video games. So right around like when Atari was coming out. But we had the handheld games were big. Mattel had the big ones, but the Coleco football was still the best one ever. So it's called Electronic Quarterback by Coleco. It takes a 9-volt battery, and it's still. I was having some fun with it the other day. So
that's not a Game Boy? It's not.
Yeah, this was the great grandfather of the Game Boy. Let me tell you.
Cool.
Let me tell you. So some people in the chat, Joe Card says he still has his. That's fantastic. Sean says he's played his all the time, and Scott said he's going to say Monday Night Football. No, I had that, and what did I do with that? Did I give that to Al? I think I gave it to Al, Red Sox fan. I had the talking Monday Night Football, with the disc. I had that in the baseball. I gave that to Al, Red Sox fan, this spring. And Christopher says he remembers those. He remembers the Mattel ones. The Mattel ones, they just released, not just, but they've since released updates. Because I have the hockey one, and I think I got the baseball, and the hockey one now has a crowd noise. So it plays like the other one. It's all the little blips with the red LEDs. But now when they score, you get. And back in the day, it didn't do that. So they've updated it there. But it's kind of neat that they remade them. They're like $10 if you find them in a toy store or something like that.
That's cool.
So I've been playing a little bit of electronic quarterback. By the way, it's ages 8 to adult, just in case you're wondering if you want to play this game.
Oh, good.
That's a good game to be playing in a quiet doctor's office, and you keep the volume up.
Yeah, bleep bleep. Yeah, there was still. Yeah, we used to have to we used to have to take like a towel or a T-shirt and put it on the speaker in the back when we wanted to play quietly. That's what we had to do. So I think that's about all I've been playing. I did order the 74-75 season. What a surprise for the Quick Decks hockey from 49 Sports from Grant, and I printed out a handful of teams. And you know what I did that was really neat is I printed on the front. And then on the back, I printed the special teams. And so now I have one sheet so I can just flip it over instead of putting because the special teams are a separate sheet when you get them printed. So I liked it. So now it's less pieces of paper and I can just flip it over now. And I rounded the corners, by the way. So
did we lose Marco?
I think he did. He might have jumped out here for a second. So
sure, he ran to Andy's.
Yeah, he's going down. He's going to go and pick up some ice cream, it looks like. Just back in the chat as we wait for Marco to come back, Joe Costa says, I played the heck out of the electronic football today. I figured out a series of button presses that would score a TD every time. Oh, see, I didn't. I never did that. I never tried to gain the systems, And yes, rounding corners is very sexy. Scott also says talking football wasn't Monday Night Football. Oh, maybe they're different things. The game I'm thinking of, the players on either side of the game box, you choose a play when the board lit up. Okay, that's something a little different then. There was a lot of those games
Yeah.
back in the day. So yeah, I'm not sure where Marco went. Oh, do you think Andy's cut the
Yeah.
feed? They might have went to Marco's house and cut the feed.
Because he's using their name without any royalties.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he went down to Andy's, asked for a sponsorship, and they said no. And
Or you can cash the check that you're paying him.
Yeah, Marco left because there isn't enough soccer talk on this show.
We love having Marco, and now he disappeared.
Yeah. I don't know where he went, but we'll give him a minute or two to come back, and then we'll continue on with things. But okay. Scott says they did call a newer version of Talking Monday Night Football. Yeah, I know there was the ABC's Talking Monday Night Football, and there was a whole bunch of them back in the day that were really, really kind of fun. Oh, I think it was Joe Card says he was telling Vinny that I still have the Catico All-American football game. I forget which one I had. I don't know if it was Catico or not, but the hockey one that I had was some hockey and football. I just had the name in my head of the company that created it, and I don't know what it was.
And there was a spin of activated.
No,
too?
this was rolling the dice, I think, and you moved your players along on the track. It was kind of weird for hockey to try to move the puck and move the players around on this grid. It probably took forever to play a game. It really was. And it was made, Ideal. It was by Ideal. The company was Ideal. If you remember the Ideal company, they had the hockey game. And you moved it around, and they had the it was neat on the inside. They had the rules had all the team logos on it, so it must have been NHL approved back then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it was 1980. I think it was something like that, right around that time.
Cool.
So anyway, while we're waiting for Marco to come back, let's see if we can bring him back here. There he is.
Look, he's wiping his mouth. He's had ice cream.
No, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened. My computer literally just crashed. So it's never happened to me before.
It's because you're talking about LeBron James.
Yeah, it got mad at me.
First time.
All his flopping. You
I
made
guess
your computer
so. It's giving me a battery dead notification, which I don't know how because it is plugged in. So,
oh boy.
Sometimes you got to have it if it's not. You think it's plugged in and it's not. That
could be that.
Seriously,
could be
that'll happen too. Sometimes is that you're like, oh, okay, I got it, and it's like, no, you're not plugged in. So screw you guys, I'm going home. That's kind of what happens. So anyway, all right. So you haven't missed anything. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our main topic here. By the way, I uploaded a couple of interviews today. I uploaded the Joe Bryan interview from Play.com and was
Clay.
the other one Clay. I think I uploaded
to them later.
the Clay one. So I uploaded a couple more videos today. And I think that's the last of my interviews that went up this afternoon from Play.com. And I gotta say, I know I talked about that new microphone that I purchased before I left, and I'm so glad I did. What that microphone does is so fantastic is that when you record something and you're recording both sides, it gives you 3 audio tracks. It gives you the mix of both, and it gives you front microphone only and back microphone only.
Cool.
And what works out with that is like somebody like Joe Bryan, who's very soft spoken, was able to bring the microphone he was facing. I could bring his in and raise that without raising me, and now our level sounded pretty good. And someone that maybe I was talking too loud, I could bring that in and bring me down a little bit. And so I was like, man, I'm so impressed with that microphone. I'm so glad I got it. So anyway.
Sticking with the theme of our show, you like the results of that microphone?
Yeah, I do. I do.
The results are good.
Yeah, the results were very good.
We like results.
Sweetest Jeff says, I had the Talking Monday Night Football with disc. Yep, that's the one here. Joe Card says, yes, it was the NHL All-Pro Hockey by Ideal. Yeah, there was that, and I think it was All-Pro Football.
Joe just makes me shake my head. If it's hockey,
one of them's $15. Yeah. And Ryan comes by. Good to talk to you, Ryan. And let's see. Jeff says he used to play the Coleco hockey game. Yep. 1981 edition with the Colorado Rockies there last year. Very nice. Very nice. All righty. So we're going to swap it over here. We're going to go to this look right here, and we're going to continue on with our topic of the day. All righty. So the title of this show is I Don't Like My Results. And what we mean by that is you're playing a game, and I'll just stick what's been on my table. I've been playing the 49 Quick Decks Hockey, which I've really been enjoying, and I tried to go back to the highlight version, which I think it's about took me 6 or 7 minutes a period to play. It really goes pretty quick. So 20, 25 minutes. And Grant's been playing it, Grant Fines, who created it, and he says he's been getting really good results, and he's happy with the results of the highlight game. I've been playing the highlight game, and I just been getting some ridiculously large scores. However, when I go and look online, some of those teams played games that had ridiculously high scores.
Yes.
Now, it wasn't every game, but if I looked and I say, okay, I played a 7-5 game, I went and looked online. It's like, well, they did play an 8-5 game, so it's not out of the realms of things, but it just seems like I've played 3 or 4 games of that, and I've been hitting the high mark every time. And there's another game I played where a guy got 2 home runs in one game. Okay, whatever. And I'm kind of replaying the season, so to speak. And I looked at this guy's card, and he had 2 home runs on the season. So I get 2 home runs in one game. What are the chances in April he hits both of his home runs? So, I mean, maybe he only hit 2, and if I played the rest of his games, he wouldn't hit any. Maybe he only played 20 games, things like that. So what do we do? So, Marco, I'll start with you. What if you're playing a game, especially a new game? You're trying out this new game, and you don't like the results you're getting.
I think the first thing that I have to do is set expectations for myself, right? So if I'm playing a replay type of game, it's well documented. I play mostly fictional now, but on the occasions that I do bring out the real deal, I generally try and look at what that team or that player did in that season, or like maybe what was their season high, maybe what was their season low. Baseball's a little harder because if you play a Barry Bonds season and he hits 72 home runs, if you do the math, that's still what, 1 home run every 4 games or something like that. So what are the odds that you're playing a game that's going to hit 1 home run, let alone 2 or 3 or 4? I don't think he'll ever hit 5, but you get the point, versus to bring up our good friend LeBron James again, if he averages 30 points a night and you get him on the table, it's conceivable if he hits 45. It's a little inconceivable if he gets 15. What do I do when I don't get the result I want? Well, if it's a one-off, I guess I'm okay with it if it's a game that's entertaining. Meaning, not so much the actual engine of the game, but the game that I played, right? Was it a fourth quarter comeback? Was it a walk-off home run? Did I bring in a closer and the closer gave up 3 base hits? I switched him out for someone else and that guy gave up the home run, lost the game. For me, that's fine. I'm good with those results, even if it AKA never should have happened. But where I start getting annoyed, and I've shared this many, many times on this show and in other places, if I pull out the 85 Bears and they start sub 500, not only am I pissed, I'm never playing that game again, or at least not for a really long time. I just feel, and Dave, we talked about this with ST a couple of months ago. I feel like as long as the game feels right, I'm fine with almost any result that I get. If it doesn't feel right, and it's kind of like pornography, you know it when you see it. You can't define it, but you know it when you see it. That's when I get upset with my results. And I'll pause because I'm going to save this for later on in the show. But I've gotten to the point now with fictional that I get upset when certain things happen, and we'll come back to that. That
Mm.
we'll leave that as the teaser.
Okay. Vin, what are some of the things that go through your head when you're playing a game maybe for the first? Because I know you ran into that with bank shot basketball a little bit. You were coming up with some really low scores.
Yeah, I'm kind of still fiddling with that with the college part. The pros seem to they put up the points I would expect them to. I don't expect them all to hit the exact averages, but some of the games I had, like I haven't had a college team reach 100 points yet. And I know it doesn't happen often, but there are teams that have done it. But I also know I'm playing the better teams against the better teams. So it's the same thing with matchup college football. I'm not gonna. I don't put and I put an expectation on who I think will do what and what team might win. But I don't think when you match up guys that have never played each other or teams that have never played each other, you can't really have an expectation of, or you can't say this should have happened or that should. You don't know what would have happened. You know, when we take like the 85 Bears, I don't know if you remember, and I brought this up on a previous show, that Jamie Marshall asked guys to do the replay of that Super Bowl. Well, the Bears, they played them like they were a high school team, the Patriots. Well, when all of those games, and there were, I'm going to say at least a dozen, the Patriots either won or hung in there.
Yeah,
I did it with season ticket football, and the game went down to the end. But a lot of the talk back then was yes, the Bears had this defense that was unbelievable. They put up over 400 points. They also played a very weak division.
Right.
They went
Right.
crazy in the playoffs. They just they put it together like we haven't seen until that point. So you have to be pretty open minded when you get these kind of results. And I think I said to Dave too, as far as the hockey game, the only way to really tell, and it's still limited, is to do a full season replay
Hmm.
with a team. And it still might not come out the same
yeah,
because the variables of dice might not match up what happened in that season. You know, some guys don't like playing with injuries. I play a friend Anthony. We play a one-off game. He wants to play with injuries because that's it can happen in a
Hmm.
game. I'm one that shuns injuries. I'm playing. I want these guys to play.
Hmm.
But if I'm doing a
I'm the same
season
way.
replay, right? You want those guys to play. If I'm doing a season replay and I want to do it properly, well, guess what? You have to have injuries. You have to have guys rest.
Yeah,
You can't have guys like even Barry Bonds. If he didn't play a full season, you got to try and rest them close to when they rested. So I think there has to be an open mind with some results. So for me, the game has to be fun. It has to feel like the sport, and then the results have to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm still going with Bank Shot. It's a great game,
Hmm.
yeah,
and if there's things that need to be done after market things, okay, add more cards, roll if there's too many fouls and a guy might he's in foul trouble. I can live with it. I've learned to look at it as okay, the guy should have picked up his fourth foul if we weren't using the extra die roll. The ref didn't see that foul. He allowed that steal to happen. Or
Hmm.
that happens in the NBA all the time. It happens in a lot of sports.
Yeah.
How many times
yeah,
we're sitting at the watching a game like, how do you let that go, especially when it's your own team? How do you not make that call? How do you not? We didn't. And guess what? They were offsides and they
Yeah.
scored a goal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. I think I played the Bears and the Patriots, and I forget what I played it in. It might have been like game-winning drive or something like that. And I think the Patriots lost in the last play of the game. The last drive, the Bears got a touchdown, and they beat the Patriots. So them crushing the Patriots in real life probably wasn't out of reason, but at the same time, if you take the numbers of those teams, they're not going to crush them. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
as like they did in real life. And I will say too that I've replayed the 71-72 Stanley Cup Finals with the Rangers and the Bruins a handful of times, and the Rangers win convincingly every time. And the Bruins won that in 6 games in real life. And I sat with Ron and we went through the cards and nitpicked and look, they're right, And I did it with Hockey Bones, and I did it with Apple Hockey, and I did it with another one. And the Rangers either win or keep it close every single time. And so sometimes you rate the guys and as they should be rated, but when they get out on the ice or the field or the court or the diamond, whatever it is, they play a little bit better than they should have. And
Right.
so that's why you're going to get those results. Question here for both you guys, and this kind of sparked off of something Vinny said, how he's playing the game and he likes the game. He's okay with it. Do you think we tend to forgive the games we like if the results aren't quite where we think they should be? And if the game we're not keen on, we get a little more less forgiving with, and now it, you know what I'm saying? If you really like a game, like, I like the game. This ain't the results that I thought I would get, but I like the game. Whereas if you're playing a game and you're not liking it so much, like, yeah, this game is, this is all wrong.
Yeah.
Well, since this is my last show, you're kicking me off for the LeBron James stuff earlier. I'm going to go on one quick rant, and then I'll answer your question, I promise. So I want to go back to one thing you were saying about the 85 Bears and the Patriots, and then you also mentioned with the Bruins and Rangers. I think, and this goes back to my setting expectations, I think there's folks in the hobby, and again, play however you want to play. I'm not going to tell anyone how to play their game. But I think folks expect the results of these games to be identical to life without realizing that even real life cannot be replicated. The Patriots led in that Super Bowl 10-3, by the way, at one point. And another thing that happened in that Super Bowl is, if you know the history and the story behind the 85 Bears, the night before the Super Bowl, Buddy Ryan announced to his team and his team only that he was leaving to take the Eagles head coaching job. So that defense played more fired up than usual. Let me ask you something. How do you replicate that on the table?
Right.
You can't.
Right.
How do you replicate that Bruins team playing beyond their means to be able to beat the Rangers? How do you replicate the 1980 U.S. men's hockey team beating the Soviets on a tabletop? Because I bet you if you played that game 50 to 100 times, the Soviets are winning 49, 98, 99 times.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my diatribe there. To answer your question, yeah, I'm more forgiving to games that I like, and games that I won't name names, but games that I either have less experience with or I'm very new to. I find myself being almost hypercritical sometimes, and then and actually I think he'll take this as a compliment, but um, Gary Brown, when I first started playing Stone Mountain Press games, I really liked them when I first started playing them. And then I stopped playing them after a while because I started to, and again, these were unfounded, and Gary knows how I feel about him and his games. Um, I started feeling like, this is a little too unrealistic. Like, I'm just rolling dice, and the results seem kind of random, this, that. Well, then I put the game away for quite a long time, almost 2 years, actually. And I mentioned at the top of the show, I play Dice United 2 like crazy now. I played Stone Cold Hockey over the winter like crazy. They're phenomenal games. And I realized I was being too harsh because I was playing all these other games that I got into and didn't realize that this game over here was really great the whole time. So, yeah, that's my little rant. I do think that we are a little too harsh. If what is it? Comparison is the thief of joy, or something like that. I think when we compare APA to Strat to play games, you're always going to find something you don't like about any of them. And sometimes if one is giving you a result that you don't like, you're going to hold that against that one.
Phil, what do you think? Do you think we can forgive games that we like versus games that maybe we don't like as much?
Yeah, I think it's more too. We could forgive games that we know are consistent, and you might have those issues like with a set amount of games, whatever it might be. You might play a series with the Yankees. You might run a half a season with the football Giants. But if you played it and it's a company that's been consistent and you've had experience before or you've heard better results from other people, I think it's definitely more forgiving. Yeah, the new guys on the block that come out with a game, if it doesn't click, they could have a problem as far as doing anything more in the future. And it might be a good game, and they probably deserve more than a couple of looks. but it might not happen. It might not happen. But we're a fussy group of people. Let's face it. It's important to us. Our sports are important to us, and for
Yes.
whatever reason, we want things to be accurate to the point. I tell people, if you really want that to replicate the season, just go read the box scores.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just go read
Go
the
Exactly.
box.
watch YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to get it. The fun in playing our games is to have a difference in some results. No, you don't want so and so. They won 100 games, winning 50 games.
Right. Right.
But if things happen, they lose close games and they win 88 games or they win 106. I think you're spot on for me. I
Right.
don't know. But again, I think it's the proven designers that are going to get more forgiveness in their games.
Yeah. And Vin,
We're
you
also so no, I was just gonna say we're also a very loyal bunch too. Like I rag on Apple, and I really don't mean to. They're a phenomenal company and game, right? But try getting an Apple, a old school hard nosed Apple player to try a play game, or in not saying one subsect of the hobby is more open minded. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, if you like your game and you've been playing your game for 50 years, you're not going to want to play something else. You're going
mm.
to, and especially if you pick up something else and you get a weird result, oh
Hmm.
my
Oh yeah.
God, you're never touching it again.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this brings up to my next point that you guys just both brought up. When I first started playing bank shot basketball, like I say, Vinny's running into some low scores with college. So he's like, okay, well, I got to see if I can work through this. Me, I played the 82-83 finals with Philadelphia, LA, and Philadelphia swept like they did in real life. And so for me, that was like, boy, that was pretty spot on. But here's the next question I got for you guys. How fast or how quickly do we give up on a game that we're getting a new game that we're getting weird results? I mean, where do we draw the line between, these results I'm not happy with, I'm giving up on the game, or I'm going to modify it, or I'm going to put it out to the community and say, hey, I'm getting weird results. Do I just want to go back to this other game I was playing because I was happy with it? Because again, Mark, you said, if I'm playing this APA forever and I'm happy with my results, and I try, the X baseball game that's come out, and boy, I'm getting some results that are kind of weird here. At what point do you just pull the plug on the new game and go back to the old one, or so how fast before we give up? Maybe that's not the right word, but I mean, how long before we give up on a new game if we're not getting the results we think we should get?
Yeah, Marco.
No, I think it goes back to what your expectations are, number one. And number two, how fun are you having playing the game? If you're tying your happiness into the results of the game and the game's not giving you the results, you're done. You're
Right.
you're not playing the game anymore. But if you're playing the game and you're getting wonky results, I'll give you a personal example. Appa Golf, right? Dave, we've talked about Appa Golf going back a few years. Um, love that game, and I say this sort of tongue in cheek, but Appa Golf saved my life. It came into my life at a time where I needed it the most,
Hmm.
truly.
Hmm.
And I shared that on my channel, that story. Tiger freaking Woods might as well have been Marco Scola playing golf when I bring him out in Appa Golf. I cannot get that guy to hit par. Par. And it
That's crazy.
hurts. I don't know if I'm making bad shot selections. I don't know if I'm being too aggressive. I have no idea. But guess what? Those bad results with Tiger Woods, it doesn't stop me from playing Appa Golf because I love Appa Golf. Right? But Tiger Woods is my all-time favorite golfer. I I want to get him to win the match. Hell, he won my whole tour in History Maker Golf one year. That was fun. But I can't get him to finish top 10 in a tournament in Appa Golf. But Appa Golf is so good. It's
Right.
so I'm have every the couple of times a year, and I'm ashamed to say that the couple of times a year I get that game out, I still have so much fun, and Tiger Woods still sucks, and I don't know how to
No.
fix that.
We've done shows
So
on that in the past about, players that underperform or overperform on your table, and I've had those too, where I just can't get a certain guy. Off the top of my head, I don't remember who they are, but I just can't get a certain guy to score or get a hit or get a strikeout or complete a pass. And we all have them. We all have guys that we enjoy playing. It's like, man, I just can't get this guy to, whatever it is, to do what I want him to do. But just so you feel okay, every time I play a golf game, Tiger Woods destroys everybody.
Oh, okay, good.
I think
Good,
I was
good.
playing. I don't know if it was Player of the Game golf or there was another golf game I was playing, and Tiger just you couldn't catch him. In fact, I don't usually play Tiger when I play golf because no one can catch him.
Yeah, you're playing for second place,
Yeah,
exactly. But
yeah.
yeah, so to answer directly, how soon? I still haven't given up on Apple Golf, and I hate the results every time I play it. If it's a fun game, isn't fun, I'm out. You
Right.
know,
Right.
Yeah,
It has to be fun. That's number one.
yeah,
It has to
Yeah.
be fun. You have to enjoy the mechanics, the process of what some people hate Strat, the 50-50. I've seen those results. I've been playing that game since 1969. I don't care what you want to say about a 50-50 game engine. If you haven't played Strat long enough, you really don't know what you're talking about. And I'm going to be blunt and say that because I've seen stock replays. I'm not saying when you stop doing draft leagues and breaking things up and putting guys in different ballparks. I've seen stock replays with the game. The numbers work. How? I don't know. 50-50
yeah.
works. I'm watching guys with results. I haven't played a full season yet, of course, season ticket baseball. It works. There's different ways to get to the same result. Is it fun? That's all that counts. It's fun to play. I grown tired of Strat for different reasons. I'm
Same.
locked in
Yeah,
now with payoff pitch and season ticket baseball. Love the two of them. Love them.
yeah.
It's just, I don't know if I got tired because I played it for so many years or I've seen little things that, I'm not crazy about. I don't know. I'm going to play what's fun for me.
Yep.
And the accuracy, it doesn't have to be spot on. Spot on.
I think you need to play. You need to have a large enough sample size in order to really make a judgment on accuracy. If you're going to whip out, whatever the '86 season in Strat, and you're only in the 10th game of everyone's season, and you say this game sucks. This is terrible. Whatever the Mets are 0-10. This is not where it's supposed to be. Uh, okay, how about you play 60 games? Are they
Right.
10
Yeah.
and 50? Because if they're 10
Right.
and 50, then yeah, the game sucks.
Right.
But
Right.
I guarantee you, it doesn't, and they won't be. So,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Now,
Right.
what do we do here? Okay, so we talked about forgiving games we like, and how long do you go? And a lot of times people will play a couple of games and post the results, and like Marco said, people say, "Well, get back to me when you." 60 to 100 games and let me know how it goes. Let me know if it evens out because you never know if you're going to play those those games on the bubble early on when you start playing, and then you'll get some normal games. I know remember my first few games of Apple hockey, penalties were through the roof. And I was like, wow, if this is how this game's going to be, I don't know if I want to play it. Then I played a few more and the penalties simmered down. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm glad
Mhm.
that it's smoothed out a little bit. What happens if you got a game? Again, we're kind of talking playing new games in here and not liking the results. I'm not talking about a game you played for 5 or 10 years that you know well. You're playing a newer game. You're trying it out. Maybe it's just a new game to you. It doesn't have to be a brand new game. And like Marco said, Tiger Woods is not performing in was it History Maker? Oh, Apple Golf.
golf, yeah.
Now, what happens if Vinny and myself and anybody in the chat room says, something, I get much different results with Tiger Woods. How do you like explain that? So you're sour on Tiger Woods, and I can see that, but everybody else is saying he's doing fine for me.
So what I would say to that, so there's a couple of games specifically where user error really does make a difference. And so hear me out on this, okay? If you're playing Appa Golf specifically, 50% of that game is deciding what club you're going to use, how you're going to approach the particular shot, and whether or not you're going to work the ball and how you factor in weather and Is it a soft course, a hard course, what have you? So a lot of that could be user error. I could be being way too aggressive with Tiger Woods, and that's why he's, flinging the ball 30 yards into the woods every tee shot, when I should be playing a much more conservative type of game and just let the card do the talking, right?
Right.
If you just lay up every other shot, he's Tiger Woods, he's going to put it straight down the pipe, and you're going to be able to get pars and birdies, and it'll flow. Football. Someone I've been trying to follow the chat. Someone brought up football, and Dave, I don't know if you want to go back and find it, but
I think it
basically
was
the
Scott.
essence of somebody said if you're playing and the quarterback's real life completion percentage is 70%, and in your game he's 50%. There it is, and something's wrong. Not wrong, Chris, the commenter that said that. You're not wrong, but was the user throwing long passes the entire freaking game?
Boom.
Right.
Were you throwing Hail Marys? Was it who was it? Blake Bortles 10 years ago? Check down Chad Henne, another one, where, yeah, you would look at their stat sheet at the end of the game and they're hitting 75, 80%. What's their average yards of completion? 4.
2, yeah.
Yep.
2, right.
Yep.
So are you playing the team as they were intended to be played? Am I playing Tiger Woods as he was intended to be played? Because Tiger Woods approaches a golf course way differently than Bryson DeChambeau, who can hit the ball a mile, right?
Yep.
Certain quarterbacks and teams, especially in football, approach how they get the ball down the field way differently, and that's going to screw your whole game up. If you don't follow, if you're looking for accuracy, you have to play how they played, or you're not going to get accurate results.
Right.
So you're saying that when you get different results, you might be playing it different ways.
Yes,
Exactly.
and you also, football is the number one sport where you're running into different situations that you could play out a team's exact schedule. And I think, Chris said it there too, because the variables of the game change. You could do it 100 times. Yes, he's 100% right, because it's just the variables are different. And if you're playing head to head in a full season, well, Marco might be trying to check down on, say, we'll call Jim Brown, right?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen as a coach? You want to throw the ball more. It's not the way it was played. They
Right.
keyed
Or
on Jim.
if I bring the 85 Bears into 2024 to play the Chiefs, they probably get torched because that 85 Bears defense was designed to take away the short pass in the run game. And that's actually how the West Coast offense was able to dissect the Bears and why the Niners went on the run. I know they won in 84, but you never heard from the Bears again after that 85 season. And one of the big reasons is because they designed an offense that was quick out, right? Before you could sack my quarterback, the ball's going to be out of my hands. You're not even going to get the ball. Right. So, and by the way, I shared this a couple of podcasts ago, so I don't mean to be repetitive, but play the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers and tell me how their defense does. That defense in real life took back, I think it was 7 interception and fumble returns for touchdowns. How do you replicate that on a tabletop? You're not going to fumble in the same spot every time to have the yardage to bring it back to the end zone. How many interceptions are they going to get on the 1 yard line to go back 1 yard to get a touchdown?
Right.
A lot of those dice rolls, you need to be very lucky. Very lucky.
Yep. And again, it's, what is the situation?
And I'll ask David said, sorry, the 85 Bears destroyed Montana and the Niners. Yeah. What happened in 86? The Niners destroyed the Bears.
Right.
They figured them out.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Marino did that season.
And Marino did that season. Exactly.
I remember in 1996 when the Patriots went to the Super Bowl against Green Bay and Brett Favre, and we lost that one, and we were kind of down up here, at the time. And I remember everyone saying, well, let's think back 10 years when the Bears destroyed us in the Super Bowl. If I had told you as soon as the final gun sounded of the Super Bowl, and it was 46-10 or 56-10, whatever it was, if I had told you right at that moment that the Patriots would get back to the Super Bowl before the Bears. Would you believe me? And none of us would have. None of us would have said, geez, the Bears, they're going to tear through the league for the next 3 or 4 years. And they didn't make it back for many, many years. And I don't even remember what happened when they got to the Super Bowl and who was in it. But
That's when they played the Colts. They ended up playing the Colts.
I think
we
they
lost
did,
to the Colts.
Mhm.
Rex Grossman was the Colts MVP that game.
Yep. Phil says he'd like to see how the 2000 Ravens defense fares in different football games. Yeah, it's always fun to take, the best defense or offense and see how it does. All right, so one thing here, we do have to remember it's a game.
Yep.
That's the one thing we have to do. And I remember when I was watching my Appa Golf videos on YouTube here, and I think it was Ron Emk, and there was a doctor so and so that was also, that's how I was learning how to play Appa Golf, and I forget which one it was that was explaining how you set up the shot and you do it like this, and it says, okay, it's not an actual golf shot from here to here. You got to come over here and then play it at angles, because keep in mind, this is a game. We're playing a board game. We're rolling dice. We're looking at cards. And this is how you get from here to figure out where your ball's going to land there, because it's a game. I think we do have to remember that it's a game, and the game can only be so accurate. And, we have to try to see if we're playing it right. We got to roll dice and take the percentages. And for me, it comes down to the fun versus the results is kind of how I look at that. If I'm having a lot of fun, I'm willing to do a lot more forgiving on my results. Whereas if I'm fighting a game and I'm really not into it, but I'm trying to learn it because maybe someone said to give this game a try and my results are not coming up and my fun factor is not balancing out, then yeah, that game's probably not going to stay very long on my table. So for me, I have a couple of really fun games, but my results are not that good, but I still play the game.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you guys have a game that you play because it's really fun, even though sometimes you kind of, oh boy, I'm holding my breath here with the results I'm getting?
I don't know if I could think of any right off the bat, but I mean, there's been teams that what there's that famous. We know that wow, they're real good on paper, but yet they don't perform. When a team just barely performs, or I shouldn't even say that. Like Joe had mentioned this when I was playing season ticket, the '86 NLCS, how the Mets, they didn't dominate teams. They were a comeback team. In '69, they were the miracle Mets because they did things that they may never replicate on a tabletop. Do you stop playing if the game's fun or the team you're playing with is fun? I don't think so. I don't personally. I don't know. There's so many different ways to think about it and going at it. But if the game isn't fun, I don't care what it does. You're not going to play it. You're not
This
going
is
to.
true. Yeah.
If
you're not
people
having
are
fun, yeah.
posting 100% accuracy, but you don't like the way the game plays, the engine itself, it's not fun to you. If it's an exercise in math for me, I can't play it. My brain don't handle that.
So
Kudos to you.
you're willing to give up a little bit of accuracy and results being more realistic for the fun of it.
For
So,
sure. For
Marco, how
sure.
about you?
Yeah, I would say, again, I'm a little bit different breed because I do play mostly fictional these days. But even in fictional, and this was the tease that I gave earlier, even in fictional, I'm starting to notice, some of I find favorite teams that I end up rooting for, usually a Chicago team. And when that team starts playing poorly and you're in the slog of your season and you're coming up on your favorite team again and they're on a 5-game losing streak and they're falling out of the pace, and it gets tough. It really does get tough. But if the game is fun, I will just keep chugging along. I'll find other storylines. And
Right.
I'm a storylines guy. I say that every single time I'm invited on this show. I am a storylines guy. If I'm doing a replay, would I like to see the Cubs be in contention? Most likely they will be, because I won't replay anything that they're not. You know what I mean? Same with the Bears, same with the Bulls, same with the LeBron James. Same with whomever I'm playing. Another great example, APA hockey. I've played the 2015 Chicago Blackhawks, Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup final probably 3 times all the way through. And the Lightning have won every time. But why do I play it over and over and over again? Because A, it's so freaking fun. And B, I'm and you guys in the hobby predicted that this would happen to me. I remember ST talking about this. What's going to happen when my generation starts feeling more nostalgic for players? And when I whip out 2015 Jonathan Taves, who, hey, he's back to the Winnipeg
Yeah,
Jets,
yeah,
by the
yeah,
way.
right.
When I whip out Taves and I see that defensive line of Keith and Seabrook and Jalmerson and some of those older guys, Chris Versteeg, he was my favorite Blackhawk. Loved Chris Versteeg. And you see him going against, I don't think Versteeg was on that team, and it doesn't matter. You see him going against Andres Palat and young Vasilevsky or Ben Bishop, Tyler Johnson, prime Steven Stamkos. And you know what? I don't care that Tampa Bay is going to win this series and kick the Hawks' ass. I don't care. I'm having so much fun. This is great. I love watching this.
Right.
This was a great 3 hours that I just spent.
And there's something about that challenge. You talk about Appa and Tiger Woods. Every time you put that on the table, there's that challenge. Can I get this guy
Yeah.
to shoot a 65? I love trying it. Can I do it?
I'm going to, Boston fans might understand when I say this now that you guys have all your championships.
What do you mean, you guys? What do you mean, you guys? What do you mean, you guys? Us Boston fans.
Chicago and Boston, I think, are kindred spirits, at least up until, let's call it 2001, when a certain quarterback from the Michigan Wolverines came, to New England over there. We were kindred spirits in that all of our teams were absolute losers for most of our lives, right? Maybe not the Celtics or the Bruins, but the Blackhawks didn't win for 49 years. The Cubs took over a century. The White Sox didn't win for 88 years. The
Marco,
Bears were still counting going
I'm
on
a
40
Yankees
years.
and Canadians fan. So you guys have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, he
Just
does. Yeah,
Yankees
Just
and
saying.
Canadian. Oh, why don't you cry into your 50 combined championships?
That's why I said a lot of catching up to do.
Vin, I sent. Did you get the package I sent you? I sent you. I sent you a VHS recorder so you could watch the last Canadians Stanley Cup.
Stick around, it's coming.
Good.
Good.
Really quick, two things. I'm going off a tangent, but my favorite sports troll that I like to say is an American team has won the Grey Cup more recently than a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that's kind of sad, isn't it? Yeah.
It's hilarious. So where I was going with that is I'm a little bit of a sports masochist where if my team is losing, not that I'm enjoying it,
Front
but
runner. Wow.
no, a back runner. If my
No,
team
I
is
was just
losing,
Jeff. I was just asked if I was a front runner. I'm from Brooklyn. I grew up a Yankees fan, and I love the Canadians from when I could first skate as a kid. So, and they haven't been front running anything for a long time.
That's
But
true.
okay,
No, what I'll wrap it up here and I'll say that if my favorite team, if I'm doing like even fictional, if the team that I picked wins a championship right out of the gate or does super well right in my first season or whatever, it almost feels unearned. It almost feels like, that was too easy. I feel like I want to earn it more. I'll give you an example. I had a Strat fantasy draft league that I did for years. It was the first, told the story a million times. Strat got me into the hobby, Strat baseball. I did a fantasy draft the first year, and then every season since, I did it for four or five seasons. Every season since, whenever the new Strat season would come out, I would just pull all the cards apart and I would put them on the fictional teams that drafted those players. And the Chicago team for the first 2-3 seasons was not very good. And then that third season came around and it was like real life. And they were finally contenders. They finally made the playoffs. They finally made the World Series. And then we get to a game 6, and it is to this day the pinnacle of my tabletop life. When we got to game 6 of the World Series and they were 1 out away from winning it, and I knew they were going to win. They were up like 5-1 with 2 outs, something like that. And when I rolled that dice, and they won, and that was the final out. I reacted not too far off from how I reacted when the real Cubs won the World Series. And that's when I knew this hobby had me hooked because I earned it. It took 3 real years of pulling cards apart, getting the team together. Was I playing the right lineup? Should I trade a player? That's the magic of these hobbies. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. It has to
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's another question here, and before we'll start wrapping us up soon. If you're not, so we're talking about not getting the results that you like or you agree with. Can it wreck your gaming experience? Can it sour you?
No, I just move on to another game. It's not going to sour my gaming. I'm just not. No, God forgive me. I'm like that with people. You know, I give my all. If I have to shut the door, I shut the door and I flip my pillow. That's it. Gaming, yeah, there's too many out there, so I'm
Yeah.
not going to let it sour my gaming. Um,
How long would you give it though? Realistically, I mean, don't have to give me a day but I mean, how long do you give a game? You know, maybe 'cause there's been games I played that I didn't like, and then I went, man, now they're my favorite game, and I'm glad I didn't give up on it.
Well, I think we've all done that. We've gone back to a game. It's not like I'll just take it and flip it in the garbage, but I'll go back to a game and I might, I did it with History Maker Baseball. I was like, I love this game. It's fun. And then I started playing with one of the seasons. I think it was the Cooperstown set, or I started a little draft league. I was like, I forgot how much fun this game really is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some games that I just like. I won't mention them, but I don't go back to them. I have one I'm looking to give away Saturday because somebody else might like it.
Okay.
I don't know. It varies, I guess, Dave. It varies.
Okay, Marco, do you get sour? Does it wreck your gaming experience when you play this game and maybe someone recommends, oh, this is the best game ever, and you play it, and boy, I'm not getting the results I think I should be getting?
I can't think of specific examples where that happened, but what I can tell you is similar to what Vinny just said. If I play a game and the results aren't going exactly how I expected it to, again, even if it's fictional, um, there's too many options out there. And if that, steak dinner somewhere else starts looking a little bit better, I might put that game on the shelf and go play something else for a couple of
Mhm.
weeks. I shared it earlier. That happened with Stone Mountain Press games. For
Mm.
whatever reason, I got pulled away by these other games. I didn't come back to it for literally a couple of years. And this would be a great show topic to do, but games that you put away for a while and come back to and you realize, oh my God, and maybe it's just a season of your life that you go through. You're in the mood for one thing. You're into that thing for so long. Um, Second season, I led the show with it today. Second season, that was the only game on my tabletop from September until roughly January. Didn't even finish my season. Put it away because I got bored. Results were kind of weird with certain games. Certain teams were beating other teams, and I was like, that I don't know if that should have happened. Um, I can tell you right now, I'm going to pull it back out this week, and I know that's going to be the only game on my table for the next 5 months. And sometimes you need those breaks. Does it permanently sour? No, I've never had that happen. Unless the game was bad to begin with, in which case I wouldn't even play it. And I
Right.
haven't found one of those yet either.
Yeah,
Jeff
they're
says,
tough to come by. They're tough to come by. A game where you just have no use for.
yeah, there's not one game that I can say that will never ever play again. Jeff brings up a point. I think you can only be down on the gaming if your expectations are too unrealistic. Yeah, that's true. If you want total, yeah, if you're just unrealistic, most games have been run through computer simulations to get good results. I would say, yeah, that most of the games have been played enough to get better results. And I think sometimes because we're so passionate, we want results immediately. When we don't get them, we're not happy about that. And my last question is, when I first started playing these games, I started playing shootout hockey is one of my favorite games. It still is. And I started homebrewing the crap out of that game, unknowing what homebrewing meant. But I changed
Mhm.
so many things about that game because I says, well, it's a good game, but I think if I did this, it'd be more realistic and I'd get better results here. And if I did that, and so I started going crazy. I changed shootouts so much. And then one by one, I walked them all back. And now, for the most part, there's only one homebrew left I do in shootout, and that's to flip two cards for the empty net rather than one. But everything else, I've gone
Mm.
back to the actual game. Are you okay with fixing a game that you think needs fixing?
I'd rather pick brains of guys that are smarter than I am with numbers and stuff like that. And I mean it. Yeah, I've been gaming probably as long as anybody out there. I've said that over and over again. I've been gaming since I'm like 8, 9 years old. Uh, but I'm not a math guy. I mean, I'm a dropout of high school. The numbers never clicked for me. People say, "How could you play games? Numbers don't click." I don't know. But you're not going to send me mathematical like equations and think I'm going to figure them out. I'm
Yeah.
going to use the guys that I know are much smarter than I am. One of the guys I turn to a lot is my friend Anthony Apostolico, Mark Miller. These guys are like bright. And now ST is, you know, I
Well,
find out.
speaking of ST, so here's a good one. So shootout, no, not shootout, bank shot basketball. So we're playing that, and I was getting guys fouling out so fast. And
Mhm,
he said that they did put a rule in that it's kind of a side thing that they agreed on that on if you get a third foul in the first half, re-roll that,
right.
and if you get a
Mm.
foul again, that's fine. And then on fouls 5 and 6 in the fourth quarter, let's
Yeah,
say, re-roll once on that. So basically, everybody gets three up to three extra rolls if they get a foul to see if they don't get those fouls. And that's you'd like to think that the game wouldn't need that, but
right.
if it does and it makes it better and more realistic, then maybe that little tweak helps you. When I'm playing the 49 highlight hockey, I
Hmm.
was I was did a little experiment between the rebounds and the normal save rating, and there was a 4 goal difference.
Mm.
And so, do I want a 6-2 final or do I want a 2-2 tie?
Right, right.
I don't want 6-2 every game, that's for sure, but 2-2 in the 70s is much more realistic. So, a couple people said I just use the normal results rather than the rebound because I get less goals, and to me, that's more realistic. So, I think we all do it to a degree. We just kind of do a little tweak to try to make the game feel like it's more realistic.
Yeah, or that it makes it work. I think the bank shot rule does work. We discussed it off air when we were starting that. I just picture it as the ref make it. He didn't see it. We made a bad call. It happens every game. Like I was saying, we watch
Yeah.
TV. We watch our team. How do you miss that call? He did. So I picture it that way, like my conversation with ST last night. I think we spoke for about 2 hours on the phone. And he was saying how Joe suggested to do that. It works, Dave. I think you find that it works too. You just can't have the mindset of, oh man, but that should have been a foul and shoot it. No, the ref missed the call. Use that mindset.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did that with Apple hockey for the longest time. Is if I get a couple penalties in a row, I roll to see if it's going to be a penalty, and I walked that back. Because I sat down. Remember, Ron and I went down one time and went over the stats of my game, and he says, "Dave, the Flyers actually were getting 20 to 24 minutes a game in
Mm.
penalties. So now, when you're playing tabletop hockey, that's a lot of penalties.
Yeah.
10 to 12 minor penalties in a game for one team is a lot of penalties. It's a lot of power plays. But when you look it up,
Right.
it,
It
it's
doesn't mean
kind
it's
it's
unrealistic.
it's kind of spot on. It just doesn't feel like you should have that many penalties. And it I don't say it wrecks the game, but you're playing this game. Oh, another penalty, another penalty, another penalty. It
But
just
it's
makes
realistic.
the game so choppy. But that's kind of how it was.
Yeah, right. You don't want a high scoring game, don't play mid 80s hockey. You don't want a lot of penalties, keep the Flyers in the box. Don't play them in 74, 75. But if you want to feel that right, play them. And it's going to be fun. There's going to be the games that have it, there's going to be fights. There's going to be a lot of penalties. There's going to be four
Mhm.
guys in the box.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't want it, don't play with those teams. You know,
Yeah.
PJet said it. I caught him
Bingo.
saying it. He doesn't judge anything unless he's doing a full team replay, like I suggest. And I think we should try it with Quick Decks. A full season replay, just the one team replay. He's not going to judge
Mhm.
stats. And still then, he has an open mind. And I don't know anybody, maybe Joe Cards has played as much hockey as those two. You know, you got
Yeah.
to give it a shot. You got to do
Yeah.
it a lot, a lot.
So wrapping up our talk on I'm not getting the results I like is kind of what we're talking about here, especially when you're trying a new game and you've played a couple games like, boy, I'm not liking this here. So I guess it's safe to say that as we wrap this up, we probably want to give the game a little bit more time than 1 or 2 games. I think we agree that the more games you play, if you string this out to a lot of games and you're still getting those results, and then either you're not playing it right or there, I hate to say there's something wrong with the game because you guys brought it up. They test and test and test this game, and there's not too many games out there that I think any of us can say, "Wow, avoid that game." Some games might be funner
Yeah.
for you than they are for me, and vice versa. But I think it's safe to say there's probably not a game out because if there was a game out there, then it would have got destroyed already by the community.
Right,
Let's face it.
Oh
right,
yeah.
You know. So
right.
I don't think there's anything out there that's going to be so bad. Um, but again, but people talked about it in the chat room. How do you play? Are you managing? Are you playing as played? Are you throwing the long pass 20 times in a football game? Are you getting aggressive on the golf course when you should be maybe laying up instead of getting too aggressive? So there's a
Yeah.
lot of different ways that we play these games that can affect outcomes too.
Right. Right.
So I think it's safe to say that that's another variable. So along with a small sample size versus a big sample size, give it some time to play out, see if it gets any better. A lot of times I
Mhm.
think it should. If it doesn't, then maybe it's just not the game for you. If it's just not fun, if it's wrecking your experience, and so yeah, so I think and a couple of tweaks. If you need to tweak it a little bit to make it more fun for you,
Mhm. Scott just touched on something with the highlight maker hoops prime time. I feel the same exact way. I'm playing today, and I'm like, okay, there really isn't an assist that I can award here because the game doesn't do it. I'm going to live with that right now. I'm only going to see how many assists it actually adds out. Then I might pick some brains and take it from there, you know?
Yeah.
But that was, he just, because I was playing today and I plan to go back to play after we're done, it doesn't generate a lot of assists. You have to kind of feel it out or it'll say so and so passes to another game. So yeah, you work with that.
I'm glad you said that, Scott, because as you guys were chatting about making changes to games to get the result you want, um, I almost never make changes to the game because of results. I make changes to games because of maybe game flow or
Mhm.
something that I think like ODAI for Apple Hockey was something I could not that I couldn't wrap my head around it, but I just thought it was kind of a waste of time.
it's a
And
pain in
I
the
can't
neck.
remember.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I think I got it from you, Dave. I forgot the exact method I ended up using, but for me it worked better. Was it accurate? I have no idea. I don't really care. I like how it plays. Highlight Maker Hoops Prime
Scott just
Time.
corrected me. Highlight maker. You're right, Scott. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm
So
fried
Prime
like
Time,
bacon,
you're
buddy.
onto something with the assists. I did modify that game, and now that I think about it, I think it's the blue, and it's been a while since I played. I think it's the blue and green chips are the ones that assign assists. So I basically automatically give an assist on every play to the blue player.
Hmm.
Just thinking about it, like, well, and I make another modification, which is if I know that a player got a lot of assists that season, or if his qualities has a lot of quality assists on there, give him the blue chip. Don't roll the dice.
Scott
Um,
said he wants to see a triple double. Michael Jordan might put one up in my game tonight. He's off to
yeah,
a heck of a start. Go
yeah.
ahead, Marco. I'm
So
sorry.
no. That's no. To make a long story short, make adjustments to the game if it makes it flow better. That's what I do. And if it's something that's not really affecting the mechanics, and I think prime time is a really good example because it doesn't really affect the mechanics of the play if you change the chips. Because I think, Keith might have talked about this in one of his blog posts. Um, it's a whole different game if you assign the chips yourself at every timeout versus rolling dice for the chips, because now you're kind of playing coach. You're saying, I want to give the red chip to this guy because I want the offense to go through him. And I'm giving the blue chip to this guy because he's going to generate the most offense. Right? So try it out. Tell me if you like it.
Yeah, I haven't
You guys
tried
know where
that
to
yet.
find me. So,
Yeah, but I like the idea of making some small changes in the game that make it easy for you to play. And
yes.
no matter what
Yes.
gaming is, I think there's things that we all do that just, boy, this is just easier for me. It's faster or whatever it is. And I think when you're playing the 49 Quick Text hockey, there's a whole couple of paragraphs on how to properly assign assists. I roll the 20-sided dice and go to the assist chart.
Right. You
That's
know
what I
who's
do.
really, really, I won't say famous for it, but it's just kind of his thing. Rob Gallimore, excellent
Yeah.
with his
Oh yeah,
video.
Gitch's Gaming, love Rob.
But he'll tell you that's just how I do it. So he's telling you it's not the exact way to do it, but that's just how I do it. But yet he streams through his games that I want to do it the way he does it.
Mhm.
He doesn't veer from the
Mm-hmm.
rules too much. He's playing the game pretty much as intended. And it's not
Yeah.
every game, but he'll go, that's how I do it. And he's
Yeah.
phenomenal at what he does and his gaming. I don't see anything wrong with that. Do what makes it a little easier for you. You're not going to break the game. Joe Bryan says it with bank shot. You're not going to break the game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And just keep in mind that if you do make changes, then you kind of lose the right to complain about a game.
Sure.
Right. You're
Or
right.
the right to complain about the accuracy. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So if you're playing a game and well, I'm going to do it like this, then yeah, whatever your results are not going to be what the game was going to produce. So,
I
Right.
got to
so
tell you, for second season, the first like 5 weeks I played that game, I reversed the pass and run ratings. So I was getting some weird results, and I'm like, oh, I was reading it backwards.
That'll do it.
It happens. Sometimes you just make mistakes too. It happens.
yep, we do. So anyway, all right. So this was episode 272 of the Digital Tonight podcast. We were talking about I don't like my results. What do you do playing a game, especially a newer game, and your results are a little wonky or not what you expected or not what you thought they should be? How do you handle that? So we had a great discussion. We had a lively chat tonight talking about what they thought about this subject here. So we're going to wrap this up. Ways to get a hold of us. We're going to do the 3 stars. We'll be back next week. When we have a live show and guests on, we tend to push the 3 stars off to next week. So thank you to all our Patreons, and we will get you back on Stars of the Week on the next show. Digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is the text line. And you can leave us a voicemail there if you like to, or a promo for the show, whatever you like. We've been using a lot of the promos that people have called in, and some of the promos I got out in Colorado. I still have more of those. Facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice is the Facebook. And an email, digitaltodice@yahoo.com is our email. And that should wrap this up here. For anybody still on tonight, I might jump on later and maybe play some quick text hockey a little bit later. I need to get through the summer blues funk here, so I might go get myself another ginger ale and fire it up here on the table later. Not that I like to go live twice a night, but considering this is kind of a podcast type of thing, that later on might be my gaming. I
Cool.
have a busy weekend coming up, back to the hockey rink, so we'll see. I'm back to kind of work now, where I was off for a while during June when the weather was crazy. As long as I don't get attacked by the wasp tomorrow, I got to go back up and spray that wasp nets one more time. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
And like
might want to go
Sean,
back through the chat there that someone was talking about something about brake fluid,
yeah,
something.
yeah.
I don't
I got to
know.
get on to Meineke and get some brake fluid or something like that. Sean says we will continue our quest to find the perfect sim. It will never end. Yet that's a great way to kind of end this here. And Phil says he feared football games on the tabletop for so long. Now I can't wait to learn. And great show, fellas. Thank you so much. Yeah, never. That's the one thing I say. I give people a lot of credit who have played the same game and only play the one game for a long time. I give them credit because they know what they like. They know the game inside and out. And they can play the game upside down and blindfolded. But for me, I found that the more games I play, you never know when you're going to run into your next favorite game. And there's a lot of games that are on my table now that if I didn't play, or give them a try, they never would have made the table. And I consider them to be, my favorite game, my top 3 games.
Mhm.
And I'm so glad that I did go out on a limb and play them. So again, play it the way you want. There's no
Yep.
wrong way to play it.
Yep.
And yes, Joe, I do need to get the XHL
Oh,
out.
yeah.
It's still wrapped up over here. I need to unbox that, take a look at that, and play some crazy hockey. And now that's one that I'm going to homebrew the crap out of. I am going to come up with so many Dave ways to play that. And again, you can't break it. It's a fictional league. It's a fictional players. So I'm going to find a way to make that crazy hockey. And I was talking to Vinny, maybe you might make that a 4-on-4 roller hockey thing too.
Roller hockey. That's
cool.
what I pictured at.
And then every time it goes to the center, then something crazy happens. You never know what it could be. So
cool.
so I got to put my thinking cap on and try to create something fun with that. So anyway, Vin, thanks for joining me again.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody with the comments. A lot of good comments. God, Christopher, awesome stuff. Thank you.
Yeah. And Marco, I really, really appreciate the soccer talk that you brought to the show this week.
No problem, Dave.
In fact,
I had a pleasure, guys. This is awesome as always.
Yeah, we have at the end of this month, actually, I forgot, we're going to be kicking off year 7 of Digital to Dice. Imagine that. We're wrapping up 6 years and starting year 7. I think there's no better way to have Marco on and maybe have a 4 to 5 hour show talking about soccer games. What do you think?
Oh, I'd be happy to do it. Yeah,
and
we'll do
I
it.
think Dave should get Appa Soccer and play a full game with it.
By the way, it's called football. We're the only jerks that call it soccer.
It's soccer. There's only one football.
Actually, if you research the origin of why we call it soccer, it's actually really interesting. And they call it soccer. The true name is allegedly soccer.
See? So we were right all along.
Well, the Brits were right, but we were technically British, the whole revolution, that whole thing. So
it was. So anyway, all right, guys. Thank you so much for coming by, and we'll talk to you all later. Have a good night, everyone. And maybe I'll see you in a few minutes. You never know. Bye-bye.